welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. I'd like to talk in this episode generally about immigration law and the ways that immigrants are allowed to come into the United States. Now, there has been a lot of talk, primarily from the president, that has targeted what seems to be every single immigrant that comes into the United States, um, as being a terrorist. And the talk has been there to create fear, to create panic, to victimize a whole group of people that is untrue, okay, that is not warranted, and that is done for political gain. We first have to understand that we cannot become complacent with these types of continued statements. We can't just say, okay, it's becoming normal now, it's okay, we'll just let it slide. We have to always stand up for the rights of people who have been given those rights and who, under the law, have those rights. And they should not be persecuted and victimized by a president to create fear and to create upheaval. Now, for practically the entire history of the United States, there has been uh, Immigration and Nationality Acts, which are laws that are on the books, that have been passed by Congress, that have been signed by prior presidents, and there have been multiple revisions of those laws. There are statutes, okay, under the Code of Federal Regulations, the Foreign Affairs Manual for Department of State. There are multiple memorandums from General Counsel at Immigration. There is a plethora of law on immigration, okay, and how people can immigrate to the U.S. As with the normal U.S. population, there are people who commit crimes. Granted, that's why we have prisons, and the prisons are full of U.S. citizens. They have immigrants as well, but we cannot, for example, say all U.S. citizens are bad because there are U.S. citizens that committed crimes. Okay, it doesn't follow. There are such talent that has come from all across the globe into companies everywhere in the U.S. There is extraordinary talent. There are people who run companies. They are very educated. They go from all over the board. There's visas that are allowed for people who have no education and are going to do, various temporary kinds of work, such as farming or items which don't require any experience, but they're able to come in, be petitioned, and go for it. There are employment petitions for persons who have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees. There are different levels of employment petitions. Some don't even need to have a petitioner. There are ones that involve investment. There are a plethora of non immigrant visas allowed. So the question has to be, why is it that this president tries to vilify every immigrant that comes into the United States when there has been such effort in the past to make certain that all kinds of variety and immigrants are allowed into the United States to better increase the fabric of our nation and to show that we are a nation of immigrants. One would be hard pressed to go back 2 or 3 generations and find that their grandmother, their grandfather did not come from another country. The vast majority of the US, that is what happened. Now, across the world, people know that they can come into the US on family based immigration, employment based immigration. There are self petitioning bases of immigration. There's all kinds of ways. And you can't just make all of the immigration laws on all of the ways that an immigrant can come into the United States disappear because you create fear and you create a misperception that every immigrant is a criminal. It's not the case. And so this video is here to show you that the laws are on the books. It is not just one person who gives an incorrect opinion and tries to create fear that can make all these laws disappear. There are the same ways to come into the United States to be petitioned, and there are multiple ways. Okay, and when you're inside the United States, there are again multiple ways to be able to obtain status, maintain your status. Many times people will come as a student, then they'll go to H-1B work visa. Then they'll go to the perm for the green card. Then they'll do the I-140 employment petition. Then they'll adjust status. Then they'll get the green card. Then they'll apply for U.S. citizenship. It's a long process, but it's there. Okay? If the United States and the hundreds of years that all of these revisions of laws have been in place did not exist, and if the United States did not want immigrants, the whole Immigration and Nationality Act would not exist. Okay, and it does exist because we know that the United States, with its immigrants, with U.S. citizens, with its melting pot, makes a better, more powerful place to live, to grow, and to raise children. So if you have questions as to how you might be able to qualify to come into the United States, give me a call. I'll be happy to let you know. And don't fear, the laws have not been erased from the books. The Immigration and Nationality Act still exists. There are ways to become citizens, residents, and all kinds of things to help immigrants. So if you like the video, click like, subscribe, and more on the coming videos. Thank you.